All right, today in the Zone, we have an excerpt from a recent Zoom we did on closing. Now, these are closing strategies, and most of the time people say, I don't like closing, and I completely understand because most of the time when we think about closing, what do we think about? High pressure. And if you're like most people, you're not into giving high pressure closes. So don't. Use some strategies and give people some options. Give them control so they make an emotional decision. Yes, by giving people control, they're more committed to the product, service, and or opportunity. It's amazing when you learn the right strategies. Now, there's a lot of strategies here. You only have to pick one or two that work best for you. One or two that you feel comfortable using, and that's what's going to give you long-term success. All right, let's get into the Zoom.
So if everybody's ready, got your pencil and paper, let's take a look at closing here. Now, the problem is we start from a very bad place. We were cruelly taught closing wrong for most of our lives. The closing means, an individual with absolutely no bias and perfect past experiences, who has a perfect understanding of our business or product or service, and their current situation is totally stable, nothing else is going on, and they receive the perfect information from us, and they have perfect trust with us, and that is how they go to the Ben Franklin close. They put down all the reasons why and all the reasons why not, and then use some sort of emotional close, and that's how it works. Unfortunately, that's pretty much fantasy. So that's not how people make up their minds. Now, if I were to ask everybody here on this call, how do we make up our minds? We'd probably have quite a few opinions. And it is okay to have an opinion. Totally okay. But it's not okay to take our opinion out and take it into the real world and try to close people based upon our opinion. We probably want to use better brain science and take a look at exactly what happens in real life. Now, for most of us, we grew up in an age where brain science hadn't started fMRIs and they haven't figured out a whole lot of things. So here's how humans attempted to close way back in the day. And we know it isn't right because we felt bad about it and we just didn't want to do our business that way. And they say, well, the first thing we have to do is call people for an appointment. And of course, they don't want to give us an appointment. They don't want to give up their time. But we say, oh, no, you got to see this. And then we try to go and give them some sort of presentation. Now, just saying the word presentation, how do people feel? They feel, oh, man, presentation, that means you're going to try to sell me something. I better look for something bad. So when it comes time for closing, I have some excuse so I don't get cornered. So for the moment we say the word presentation, what are they thinking? Let me look for something that doesn't work. Not for something that'll work in their lives, but something that won't work to protect themselves. And then we probably try to show them a company video, which is advertising for the company. But think about it. Do we like advertising? And the answer is no, we don't like advertising. That's why we change the channel on television when advertising comes up. But we force that on, you got to watch it. And then we give them some testimonials and some research. And then we do this high pressure close. And 20 minutes later, where you want to take care of your family, don't you? You don't want to be a loser all your life. Or here's smart people do this, dumb people do this. And it's just ugly. People feel manipulated, forced into a corner. And we don't feel good about this. And that's why new people kind of avoid trying to talk to people. And you say, oh, not my group. Well, here's what happens. People are pleasers. They do want to make their upline happy. So if the upline says, if you talk to people, oh, yeah, I've been talking to people, but not really. And they will say things like, well, I've talked to everybody I know already. Not really. We kind of avoid talk to people because instinctively we know this is pretty icky. It just doesn't feel good. Now, we are in the decision business. The bottom line is our company does everything, beginning to end. They will, take applications. They will ship product. They have a lawyer to handle the government agencies, shipping, receiving, customer service for problems. They do everything. The only thing they can't do is the only thing they want us to do, which is to get people to make a decision. So here is the really good news. The company does everything in our business, and all we have to do is one little thing, get people to say yes. Now, that is the world's greatest partnership. Yeah, all we have to do is get people to say yes. That's it. And we're done. That's our part of the bargain. So how do we get people to say yes, to make a yes decision, to become a customer, to use our service, to use our product? How are we going to do that? Well, if that's our job, we better learn. So instead of taking some crazy theory that, well, people make up their minds because little voices talk in their ear, or some sort of hormonal flare-up, or some sort of emotional decision, or 15,000 reasons for, 14,000 reasons against, instead of just making stuff up, this is what we do for a living, so we better get good at it. Because if we're not good at it, we're going to look really stupid at a party. At the party, somebody comes up to us and say, "So, what do you do for a living?" And we say, "Hey, we're in the closing business. We get people to make a decision." And they say, "Well, how do you get people to make a decision?" And we say, "Well, I have no idea. I have no idea how this works." They're going to look at us and just feel really sorry for us. So at some point, right now maybe, if you have that piece of paper, write down how people really do make a decision. And if you're like me when I started, I had absolutely no idea. People told me how, but it wasn't true. But thankfully, in the last 24 years, there's some been really hardcore brain science that have authenticated exactly how it works. So we know now how people make a decision. And we should just use that brain science because they gave it to us freely, told us exactly how it works. We can use that in our business and actually feel good about our business and make a lot of money too. So are you ready? If you wrote down on your piece of paper how people make a decision, great. If you didn't write down anything on your piece of paper how people make a decision, you are probably normal because hardly anybody ever does. We just don't know. We're just guessing, and guessing is probably not a good way to build a business. So here's the story. I know there's a lot of people here in the UK. So let's say I'm in Swindon in the UK, and a couple of us, we decide, hey, let's go out and eat. So we go down to city center or high street and see a bunch of restaurants. We go into a restaurant, and the waitress says, you can sit over here. We sit down, and she gives us all a glass of water. And she gives us a little menu and says, what would you like to drink? And we look through the drink menu, and we all order our drink. She brings back the drinks and says, would you all like a starter or appetizer? Oh, yeah. We look through and order that. And she goes and brings back the starter and appetizers. Things are going pretty good so far. And then she says, what do you like for your main? And we say, oh, we'll have this. And she goes back and later on brings back our main meal. Pretty delicious. We're happy. She comes back to see how we're doing and says, by the way, we have a great dessert menu. Let's take a look at it. And we all say, no, we're full. She says, just look at it. And we all say, oh, yeah, that looks good. So we all order a dessert. After we finish our dessert, she brings back the bill. And here's the question. At what point in this entire story, from the beginning to the end, in this whole scenario, at what point did we make a decision to eat at that restaurant? Between the appetizer and the main course? I don't think so. We made a decision to eat at that restaurant before we went inside, before we saw the menus, before we found out if it was good service or not, before we found out what options for food. We made our final decision at the very beginning, pretty much on no information. They say, oh, that's a little bit strange. Are you telling me that people make decisions instantly, right away, on zero information? That's a big stretch, but that's what we did. So let's do another example. We're having a meeting there in Blackpool. So we're all at the hotel in Blackpool, and you and I are at the front of the room. And we say to the group, okay, the meeting's over in about 15 minutes. When we're over, me and Big Al, we're heading out to the ice cream parlor to have ice cream. Who wants to come with us? Half the people raise their hand. And the other half don't raise their hand. They think, no, I'm lactose intolerant. I'm on a diet. I got to pick up my kids from the babysitter. But half the people raise their hand. Now, how quick did it take us or take the people in that room to make a decision? They made that decision before the information, before they knew even where the ice cream parlor was, or how many flavors of ice cream they had, or if you were going to pay for all the ice cream or they had to pay for their own. Almost everybody in that room made a decision instantly before the information. Now, if this is bothering you, it should, because when I first noticed this, I said, wait a minute, that means everything they taught us about closing and people making a decision is pretty much wrong. If people make decisions right away, before the information, it's pretty important what happens first. So, let's do another example. My daughter, let's say she's dating some boyfriends, and a boyfriend comes over, or a potential suitor comes over and says, oh man, I got this great video of me and I got some testimonials. I can put on a 3-way call with my sponsor. Before any of that happens, I'm pretty sure my daughter made up her mind, yes or no, before this even started. People, humans, make up their mind. So we're not spreadsheets. We don't have perfect information. We're not in a perfect situation with no stress. No. We're humans. And what humans do is make up their mind right away, because that's how we survive. Because if we have to think everything through, it's going to take us too long to think our way through, that we're going to starve to death. We just don't have time. We can only have one thought at a time. One thought. So what does our mind do? It says, man, we got a lot of thoughts coming up, boy. Let's hurry up and get this thought. Let's make a decision on it, throw it out of the way so we can get on to the next one, because there's a whole stack of thoughts coming up. So let me show you how quick this is. Because if you still doubt it, you'll be going out with theory and not fact, and it's going to make it a lot harder than it really needs to be. For those of you that like audio, all right, let's do it this way. There's up in the corner here, it says 7 free closing lessons. Go there, bigalbooks.com/closing, and download that. There's 7 free lessons there. They're about 10 minutes each on audio on how this closing thing works so we can get better. So it's totally free. It's not going to cost you anything, so it'll be fine. And if you go there, let me take one example. In one of the audios there, I tell the group, I'm talking to a group of automotive executives in Singapore. And I asked them, is it okay if I take your children skydiving with me? Now, how soon do you think they made up their minds? Instantly. They made the decision, yes or no. They said, oh, no, you can't take my babies, or, man, my kids, you can take them. I'll even help push, depending on what their experience has been with their children. But the decision was instantly. And they made the decision before they found out if I'm a certified skydiver or not. Before they found out if we're only going to jump 2 centimeters or not. Or if I'm successful 3 out of 4 times or not. The decision came before the presentation. So what happens to us in network marketing, we are so tied up with the presentation, talking about all the great company and the comp plan and all this, we missed the big story. The big story was they made up their mind earlier, and the presentation is after the fact. Our job is what happens before the presentation ever begins. So what we want to do is get people to make an instant yes decision before the information. And if they say no, just like they said no about the ice cream, we're done. Nothing more. Just move on. Ask them how their day's going. And if they say yes, then and only then will we ever tell them about the information. because the information is only interesting to somebody who's made a yes decision first. So if you have information about your business, about the educational and personal development benefits and the no commuting and the health, no matter what you have, it's not important. The first thing is they don't want to hear any information until they made a yes decision first. Let me give you an example. I, at this time, because I'm a nerdy engineer, would like to tell you about the gearing mechanisms in a Swiss mechanical watch, how they make those really tiny gears and how they're made out of special chromium and how the flyweights are perfectly balanced. And I want to tell that to you for about an hour. And you're thinking, no, you don't want a Swiss watch. You don't want to hear all that information. But I'm thinking there's something in there that might get you to change your mind later at the 55-minute mark. Totally not true. The human mind hates information unless it's made a yes decision first. So when we try to set an appointment to give people information, what's the natural tendency of people? No, we don't want any information. We absolutely don't want any because we haven't made a yes decision first. So what we have to do is learn how to get the yes decision immediately, and then only talk to the people who said yes with the information, which means there's no more selling, no more rejection. They're sitting on our side of the table. It's not two people fighting. It's both people want the same thing. So here's a couple rules. Number one, the human mind makes a decision instantly. We're programmed to do that because there's so many decisions we have to make, we don't have time to think. And number two, we make the decisions before information happens. Now, to make this easier, if you have a pencil and paper, let me give you two big hints of how you can change things immediately and feel great. Remember, I mentioned earlier the word presentation. And what does the word presentation mean? It means salesman approaching. Somebody's going to try to force you into the corner. Somebody's going to try to close me. And from the moment we say presentation, they're instantly looking for reasons why not. We have a natural aversion to salespeople because of past experiences. So if you and I, if we want to make a change right now, if we just change the word presentation to options, OPTIONS, we just change it to options. What does options mean to people? Option means you give me another choice. It's okay if I do it or not. It's up to me to choose if I want to do it or not. It's just an option. People love options. Humans love options because it makes us feel free. We're in control. Nobody's pushing us. So just by changing the word presentation to options, we overcome a huge handicap. Let me prove to you that people like options. If you went to an all-you-can-eat buffet to eat and all they had was tofu, we'd want more options. Everybody would like to have additional options in their life. So if you're crossing a burning volcano in a rope bridge, you'd like to have other options. People say options are good. I don't have to take them, but I'm really glad I have extra. So homework. Just practice saying the options word instead of the presentation word. So whenever you say presentation in your business, put in the word options and just see how you feel on the inside. And if you feel different on the inside, the vibration and tone of our voice, our microfacial expressions, our body language will all change and people will, react to us quite differently. Here's the second word to change. Change the word closing to choices. I'd like to give you some choices. I'd like to give you more choices. People say, whoa, choices means I'm in charge. No harm there. Yeah, I'd like to have more choices. And I'm in charge of my choices. You're not. This is great. So just changing those two words can make a huge difference in the business. Oh, okay. So I'm going to change the presentation word to options this week or next week. And then I'll also stop saying closing and choices instead and just see how I feel. And all of a sudden, we get the idea, all I have to do is give people some choices. They're going to say yes or no. If the answer is yes, then I can do this presentation thing. But the presentation is really going to show them how to get started, or the first training session, or how the product or service is going to work. That's it. All the fear we had about closing can go away. Now, we've changed those two words. You're probably saying, okay, give me some good closes to say. Now, these closes are going to sound a whole lot better now because we understand that all we have to do is give people the option to have choices or not. And people will love to have choices. And people are probably pre-sold on what we have anyway. And you say, well, my people aren't pre-sold. They all told me no. Well, they told us no because we approached them wrong. We tried to close them and tried to give them presentations. Most people are pre-sold. Let's do an example. For all the people that sell nutrition here on this call, let's go out and talk to 100 people, ask 100 people, do you want to live longer or die quickly? What are they going to say? That live longer option sounds pretty good. Yeah, they're pre-sold. If you say, what about my opportunity? Well, do you want more money in your life or less money? More. They're pre-sold. Almost everybody we talk to is pre-sold. Maybe today isn't their best day or something else is going on, but most people we talk to either are pre-sold. We don't have to give them a presentation to sell them. People already know what they want. All we have to do is say, do you want it? And here's some options. And one of the options is to take advantage of it. You say, all right, so it's not win, lose, win, live or die. All I do is give them some choices and you got it. So let me give you some simple closes. How many people here have a benefit with your product or service? You say, quite a few benefits. I have a benefit with my opportunity. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a benefit we think they would enjoy. And say, I got this benefit from it. And then we're going to ask this closing question. You might want to write it down. Would you like to know how I did it? Would you like to know how I did it? So let's do an example. I finally was able to fire my boss and quit my job. Would you like to know how I did it? Does that sound like an option? Yeah. Does it sound like this might give them more choices in their life? Yeah. And they can say yes or no. They say, well, yeah, I'd like to know how you did it. And then we can give them a presentation. But they already made a yes decision. Or they might say, no, I don't want to know how you did it, man. Nothing good ever happened to me. I'm a full-time loser. Don't ruin my self-image. Leave them alone. They have other problems that we can't help with. So take your best benefit and just ask people, would you like to know how I did it? Or would you like to know how she did it or someone else did it? For instance, let's say that I sold cosmetics and I had a lipstick that doesn't rub off. I can't say I'm using it. They'd probably notice. But I would like to say, Mary has lipstick that stays on all day and it never smears. Would you like to know how she did it? So what we're doing is picking a benefit and say, would you like to know how I did it? Or if you're more comfortable, would you like to know how she did it? And so I just started, I don't have any benefits yet. And well, talk about your sponsor, how he did it or she did it. Or some satisfied customer. And it's a simple close. And she says, wow, so if they say, I want to know how, they've already made a yes decision, the answer is yes, or else they would have said, let me save time because I have other decisions to make. But when they make a yes decision, they will allocate some time for information, but not before. Now, let's upgrade this a little bit. Now, I don't know how many people here on this call are shy, but if you're shy, you have the biggest advantage ever. You are going to rock. Shy people do better in network marketing, and let me explain why. The purpose of business is to solve people's problems. If people never got hungry, having a restaurant would be stupid. But people do get hungry, so having a restaurant is smart because it solves the problem. If people never got sleepy, having a hotel would be stupid. If people were all rich and had money coming in every month, selling out business opportunity would be pretty bad. If people live forever, selling nutrition would be pretty bad. We got the general idea. So the purpose of business is to solve a problem. So maybe look at our business this way. All we do is listen for people to complain. And they're going to complain about a lot of things, a lot of problems. But if we hear a problem that we can solve, then we offer them a chance to solve it. And it's up to them if they want to do it or not. So, well, that was pretty easy. So how are we going to know what problem they have? Well, here's where it rocks. We listen. Now, all the brave talkers just come out there and start talking about their presentation and somebody who made a lot of money and the comp plan. If they're talking, how are they ever going to find out what the other person's problem is? So the listeners, the people that listen, have it made. All you do is listen to people's problems and take a problem that maybe you can solve with your business. Now, will people complain? It's human nature. Human nature has an interesting program. One of the programs is if we meet somebody brand new who we don't know, there's a program in our head that says we have to tell them how much I suffer, how hard it is to be here, how difficult life has been for me, how unfair things are. And if I tell people how much I suffer, they will maybe love me more in real life. We make a connection. So everybody has this program. Some have it a little bit, some have it a lot. But whenever you meet somebody new, just see how long it takes before they start talking about their problems. People have problems. They love to talk about it. So if you are a listener and you listen, well, number one, you build trust because they say, hey, you're a great listener. I like that. And number two, you're going to listen for a problem that you can't solve. You can't solve all of their problems, but a lot of them you can. And when they finally take a breath, here are the exact words that we will say. Would you like to do something about it? Would you like to do something about it? Now, what are the two possible answers here? Yes or no. If they say, yes, I'd like to do something about it, ka-ching, we're done. All we have to do is explain how it's going to work. And if they say, no, they don't want to do anything about it, that's okay also. Now, if that seems too direct for you to say, would you like to do something about it? Like you're talking to your mom or something, maybe you could cushion it a little bit and say, have you ever considered doing something about it? Have you ever considered doing something about it? And gives them an option to choose yes or no. You say, wow, so I'm talking to somebody and they just hate their job and they're talking about their dream-sucking vampire boss taking little bits of their brain out every day, turning them into a human zombie. When they finally take a breath, they say, well, would you like to do something about it? And they say, well, yeah. Oh, the hardest part of network marketing is over. We've already done our job. It's got a decision. The company's already made all this presentation stuff. Just say, look at this. We've done our job. So the words are, would you like to do something about it? Or have you ever considered doing something about it? In a way, you say, all I have to do is give people an option and take the volunteers. And the answer is, yeah. So here's another way of wording it. And if you have a pencil and paper, write down the words instead of, and then in parentheses, keeping your problem, close parentheses. So we listen for their problem and say, instead of, keeping your problem, then say these exact words. Would it be okay if you listen to the free audios at our site, you know what that means. So if you say, would it be okay if, they naturally want to say yes. Would it be okay if you had one more option? Would it be okay if you had one more option? What are they going to say? Yeah. So instead of fighting traffic into London every day, would it be okay if you had one more option? Yeah, what's the other option? Or would it be okay? And you say, this is pretty cool. I can do this anywhere, anytime with no rejection, even if I'm shy. I don't even have to be a good talker. All I have to do is memorize a couple of these little sentences, and people will make up their minds because that's what they do anyway. So those are great ways to start. So here's what we need to reconsider. Prospects are pre-sold. They want what we have to offer already. We offer them an option. When we do that, there's no rejection. And people can sort out yes or no right away with no information. And there's really, if we do this well, if we're clear with our option, there's no real need to follow up. Now, I know Keith wrote that book on how to follow up, but if we're really clear, most of the follow-up is done for us. There's no need for it. So Keith's not on the call here because he's asleep in Houston, Texas, because it's 6 a.m. in the morning there. But he has this great story I'm going to steal. And this shows us what we have to do to overcome our fear of rejection. So imagine you and I are sitting down for a cup of coffee. The waitress comes and says to you, "Do you want cream with your coffee?" And you say, "Yeah, I want cream with my coffee." She comes to me and says, "Big Al, do you want cream with your coffee?" And I said, "No, I don't want cream with my coffee. I like it black." And she says, "Okay." So she takes the cream back to the kitchen. As soon as she's in the kitchen, she slams the cream against the wall and screams out, "I've been rejected. It's a pyramid. I quit." No, she doesn't. It was just an option. So when you just give an option, there's no chance of rejection. It's just that they have a choice. And we gifted them with a choice instead of keeping it top secret. And think about this. Does that waitress have to do follow-up? Does she have to call me the next day and say, "Well, do you want cream with your coffee now? Have you changed your mind? I got another testimonial of people that like cream. Or I have a research report that says cream with coffee is good." No. Because the offer is so clear, whenever I decide to have cream with the coffee, well, then I'll change. So there's no need to follow up. And you say, wow, all I have to do is find something good about our business, give that to people as an option. Or better yet, if I want to be more advanced, listen for a problem and then give them the option if they want to have some choices to fix that problem or not. And that's it. So is closing scary? I don't think so. Closing is really pretty easy, and it's all done in the first few seconds. So if you've been scared to talk to people, don't be scared to leave them options. And it's up to them if they even want the options or not. They may not. So I hope you got an idea how we can do this business totally within our comfort zone and totally within the comfort zone of all of our new team members. Because even if you're brave and courageous and can close for $1,000 or $5,000 or $1 million, not everybody on our team is going to be able to do that. So we have to show them how they can participate also in a rejection-free, safe way that feels good. So let's review. If you're on this call, let's start using the words like choices or options. Check with them, ask them if they want to fix their problem or not. And if you'd like to go deeper and learn more words and possibilities, I made an audio course that you can listen to. It takes about 10 minutes every day on audio, 7 free closing lessons. It's up in the corner there. Just go to bigalbooks.com/closing. And if you're asking about the 2 books on the other side here, pre-closing and closing, I just put them up there to let people know, yeah, I probably have a little experience in closing. There's a lot of Big Al books. So if you go to bigalbooks.com and you like the audios there, there's some free audios there you can download for free also. So the only thing between us and where we want to be is some stuff we don't know yet. And here's a way with the 7 free closing lessons, what you learned here today, or maybe download a couple of audios from the free stuff when you go to bigalbooks.com, that we can start right away. It won't cost us anything, and we can make our step forward right away. So all I ask is for everybody here on the call to share it with somebody else. Let's be better people. Let's help somebody else feel better about their business. And if you can, share the link on the bigalbooks.com for closing and let them start listening 10 minutes 7 times, and they'll be pretty good about closing also. So thanks for being on the call. Good luck sponsoring, and we'll do another call like this again.